I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball, and wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon.
Welcome back to the Bay Area Beat. We have a very, very special episode today. I'll be joined by my friend Jack Loder, who will be calling in from KNBR, the sports leader in the Bay Area. We're going to be talking all things Dubs, from their incredible win against the Bucks to the return of playoff Jimmy to Defensive Player of the Year candidate Draymond Green. And we'll close looking at where the Warriors stand in the battle for the 6th seed. We have a lot to get into, so buckle up. Welcome, Jack, to the Bay Area Beat.
What's up, Garrett? Thanks for having me on, man. Glad to make it through.
Yeah, man. It's probably been, 10, 15 years since our last conversation?
Definitely. I think we got a lot to catch up on, even outside of sports. A lot's changed in my life since I was like 13. So we can talk some ball today, but it's been a minute for sure.
Yeah, man. Jack kind of hinted at it a little bit there, but Jack and I played on a Little League baseball team together when we were, I want to say, in 4th grade. We were the two studs of the team. If I don't mind putting a little pat on our back, but haven't chatted for a while, and now Jack works at KNBR, the sports leader in the Bay Area. Jack, before we kind of hop into Warriors and Giants, which is what we're mostly going to talk about today, can you tell me a little bit about what it's like working at KNBR? Is it just a complete dream job?
Yeah, it's awesome. Dream job is a good way to describe it. Not that I've achieved everything I want to achieve, but it's awesome to be kind of around a station that I've listened to and kind of been involved, been a consumer of media for many years. So it's definitely good to step back every once in a while and kind of realize that is a very cool thing. I'm doing a lot of digital media. I do a lot of video and audio editing. I'm lucky enough to work kind of side by side with all the guys who are on air, kind of repurposing their content, and kind of what you do with your clips that you've been putting out since you started is I do a lot of that. We put highlights over stuff, a lot of cap cut stuff like that, and just general social and digital media. So it's fun. I get to write a little bit too. I'm kind of a writer by trade, so it's really important for me to still be able to type things out, do column style writing. And KNBR allows me to do that. So I wear a good amount of hats. I'm learning a ton, and it's been awesome to kind of think about my favorite teams, the Niners, the Giants, the Warriors, and then do it for work.
Yeah, get paid to talk Bay Area sports. I think a lot of people listening to this think of that definitely as a dream job. I'm stoked to hear that, man. What do you want as your long-term career goal with this? Do you want to be a podcaster? Do you want to be on the morning radio station? What do you envision?
I'm not sure exactly what I envision, but yeah, I want to climb the ladder within this company as much as I can. As you know, it's a bit of a volatile industry. It's an ever-changing industry. A lot of what my job is to try to modernize the radio industry. So I don't do anything on the radio side. I'm not on the board. I'm not an audio engineer. I am taking what happens on the radio and making it relevant in the modern media landscape. So the company's aware of that. So, but it's hard to project. It's hard to project out. I would like to be in front of a microphone. I like talking. All these guys will tell you when they come out of the studio and I hit them with what was that take all about? They're like, who is this kid? Shut up. But I like getting my stuff out there. So that's why I come on with you. I'll come on anyone that asks me, because I love talking ball. So I do want to be behind the mic, whether that's on camera, whether that's radio, or just kind of podcast is the new radio based. I want to be around it. I want to be making content of some sort, which is kind of what I do 9 to 5 nowadays.
Hell yeah, man. It's great to hear. I love hearing friends really living out their career dreams, even at a ripe age of 25. So keep doing that. But let's hop into the Warriors. So it's Wednesday, March 19th. Last night, they played against the Bucks in what, for me, was probably my favorite, if not one of my favorite games all season. Coming off a pretty brutal loss against the Nuggets without Jokic and without Jamal Murray. And Steph wasn't playing against the Bucks, and they really came out undermanned, undersized, and outside that third quarter pretty much dominated. I think one of my favorite things, and one thing I want to touch on, is we got to see playoff Jimmy, a little preview of playoff Jimmy and what we've kind of seen from the Miami days come to fruition, which was awesome.
I think last night was a great example of Jimmy Butler being a plug and play guy who can do whatever it needs to be done to win a game. when Steph's in there and Steph's hitting shots and Steph's creating, Jimmy Butler doesn't have to have the ball. He doesn't have to score 15, 20, 25 points. I think he had 23 last night. He led the Warriors. And I think he's been around so long. He's played so much basketball. He's won so many big games in the NBA that he can detect basically from tip-off, or even before tip-off probably, here's what I'm going to have to do tonight to win this game.
Yep.
And I think a lot of what the narratives that surround him in terms of off the court stuff and like toxicity in the locker room is one thing. I think that does hold some weight. But if you look at guys who have played with him, aside from maybe Karl Anthony Towns, he has glowing reviews as a teammate and as a winner. And the work speaks for itself. He dragged 2 teams to the finals that really had no business making it that far. He's a consummate winner. I think that's why him and Draymond have gotten along so well, because they're both vocal. And while a lot of people thought that might lead to some headbutting, I think it's led to mostly at the end of the day, like, hey, like I've never played with someone who wants to win as much as I do, and I finally found it. So the way that Jimmy Butler is so versatile, and he's almost like an Andrew Wiggins, but like with more of a killer instinct. And I think that's such a great element to add to this Warriors team.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the thing about Draymond, and so many people post-trade thought they were going to be butting heads probably by this point in the season. And
I did.
I did too. They're both alphas. They're both very aggressive, kind of get in your face guys, but they also, like you said, probably want to win as much as anybody. And Jimmy's seen the success of the Warriors the last 10 years, and he's got tastes of it, winning a couple Eastern Conference Finals, but he's never got to the promised land. And I think he's as motivated as ever. And he's even said this is the best team he's ever been on. And I think there's a genuine belief, not only with him, but the rest of the court, whether it's a championship level team or even a team that can actually compete in the Western Conference, which the first half of the season, particularly the month leading up to the trade, just did not seem like the case. And they were kind of going nowhere fast.
There was nothing to be excited about the Warriors. I mean, I was watching the games because I don't want to miss a Steph dribble in his career, but but they were blowing leads. They were just so painful in offense. And Jimmy Butler talked a lot about wanting to find his joy again when he was with Miami, when he was holding out. And I think he's found his joy with the Warriors with the help of $60 million. And I also think that in a way, he's kind of injected some joy into Steph and injected some joy into Draymond and maybe even Steve Kerr. And I think that's totally invaluable and maybe like an undersold aspect of the revelation that Jimmy Butler has been with the Warriors.
Yeah, and what was so nice about last night too is I think he's been pretty, I don't want to say passive, but I think he's more been focused on getting others involved and allowing guys to play around him. And last night in the third quarter, when they blew that 17-point lead, he realized that it was time for him to kind of get aggressive, take initiative in the offense. The biggest kind of difference in that game was, whether you want to call it grifting or not, was drawing that foul at the end of the third quarter, getting 3 free throws, getting the lead back after blowing it. And like you said, doing everything that was needed. They never relinquished that lead. He made some really tough shots during that stretch. He went 11 for 11 from the free throw line. And it was an awesome sight to see. And another really vintage performance was Draymond Green on the defensive end.
Dude. Just in everybody's face and talking about it later.
Oh yeah. As he always does.
As he always does.
He pretty much, I don't want to say shut down Giannis because no one really shuts down Giannis, but he did. Giannis was 0 for 7 against him from the field. He was suffocating him. He did. He shut him down as much as Giannis can get shut down. The only way he could really score was get into the free throw line and made it super difficult for him to go inside. I was talking to my brother after the game and he was like, man, it was weird. Giannis just didn't really show that much aggressiveness. And I was like, I think he was exhausted by the end of that fourth quarter with Draymond just on his back at all times and really pretty much picking him up from half court. Draymond even got his 5th foul halfway through that fourth quarter. And, if he gets that 6th foul and we have 4 or 5 minutes left on the clock, I think it's a completely different ball game. But he was still able to play aggressive, stifling defense all without fouling on Giannis, which is so hard to do. I mean, I think Giannis must draw as many fouls as anyone. I think he leads the league in free throws attempts per game. And it was awesome to see a vintage 2017 Draymond Depoy game when they really needed it the most.
Yeah. I mean, he is such a force defensively. And part of what the Warriors have been throughout the last 10 years is everybody talks about the offense. The defense has been stifling when they needed it most. So you talk about like prime Klay Thompson. Yes, he was one of the best shooters of all time, but he was also incredible on defense. And I think they're going to score their points even now. But if they start feeling it on defense, it's like really, really watch out. Some of our guys on KBR were highlighting that today with how important and how much defense runs deep with these guys. Like they take pride in that even more so than how many points they can score.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people that are not as close to the situation as you or I have always thought of the Warriors as just this jump shooting team and like elite offensively, and that's 100% true. But when they were at their best during the dynasty was because they were a top 3 defense in the league, and that starts and ends with Draymond Green. And yeah, just a few more kind of points of data there. So I don't know if you're a big Kirk Goldsberry fan. I'm a really big fan of his.
Definitely no.
Yeah, he's a basketball nerd, and he will admit it, the same thing. But since the trade, the Warriors are first in defensive efficiency, fourth in offense, and second in net. So I think that gives kind of further evidence of what we're seeing in these games.
Huge. And when you can take care of those tangibles, right? Like metrically, they're worlds better defensively. They're worlds better at getting to the free throw line. They're scoring way more points. They're assisting way more than they were. When you can take care of those like championship necessity tangibles, you can lean a little bit more on the intangible, which is Steph in the playoffs, Draymond in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. Those things that can't really be quantified, but are very real. Then when you have the tangibles that are taken care of, all of a sudden it's like, well, if they have the physical ability to win a championship, then how are they going to not? How are they going to be beat? It's just going to be someone has a superhuman performance. Like, I think Steph is still in a physical prime where if they have XYZ as a requisite and maybe ABC is what he needs to get done, I'm still going to hang my hat on him doing that.
Yeah, and one of the things that they didn't have in 2022 was a Brandon Podziemski. They did have Jordan Poole, who probably played his best basketball of his career in that playoff series, but Podziemski missed the last 2 weeks with back spasms. He comes back, his first game back, 17 points, 4 for 7 from 3, 7 rebounds, and hit 2 of the biggest threes of the game that kind of sealed it in the fourth. Not only his perimeter shooting, but him also as a defensive rebounding guard, gritty, kind of going after loose balls is part of the identity of this team and is going to be critical if they want to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, and what a revelation Jimmy Butler has been, not just for Steph and Draymond, but for these role guys. Podziemski, Moses Moody, like he's made everyone's life easier. We're going to see how it plays out with Kuminga. I know there was some issues on Monday night, but he's made everybody's life easier. He's made the offense way more breathable. And I think Podziemski, whereas before Jimmy Butler, when they were playing these close games, they were losing close games, and Steph was having to put the team on his back, I think these guys were a little timid. Now they're seeing that like Steph has more space. Jimmy Butler can get to the line when we need it. All that Steph and Jimmy need me to do is this, and I'm going to do that. I don't have to worry about getting a long rebound or defending in transition as much. Like Podziemski and Moody have been awesome since Jimmy Butler. When you look at measurables of how many aspects the team has improved since Butler got here, and it's a lot. It's in many different facets. I think that one is one of the most encouraging for sure.
Yeah, and it's almost It's almost intangible.
Yeah.
It's like Jimmy, if you look at his stat line, he's averaging like 20 points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds since the trade. But like you said, it's making all these guys better, making them multidimensional too is such a key component. They were relying on jump shooting. They didn't really have a guy. I think they were last in the NBA in getting to the free throw line. And Jimmy's kind of just filled in all their holes in such a way that as optimistic as I was about the trade, I couldn't even predicted. One guy too, like you were talking about the role players, is Gary Payton. All of a sudden looks like 2022 GP2 again.
Totally bouncier, better on defense. He's making the right passes. He's been awesome.
Yeah, completely agree. He's also shooting 47% from 3 in the last 10 games. It's kind of like Kobe when he got that mask on. He all of a sudden started, or even there's various examples of it. But Mass GP2 is
GP2.
Yeah, certainly a sight to see. So you touched on Kuminga a little bit. I don't want to bring vibes down. We've been hyping up all the role guys and Dre and Jimmy, but I have to say I love Kuminga's athleticism, and I'm still think if he can figure out a way to put it all together, he has some untapped potential that 90% of the roster doesn't have. But he's still making the same mistakes in year 4. He still is kind of a ball stopper. He gets frustrated, gets a flagrant foul when they really needed him on the court. And I'm starting to worry that he's kind of going to slip out of the rotation come playoffs again.
That wouldn't surprise me. I think Steve Kerr's got a pretty interesting conundrum on his hands. It's still a small sample size, but the vibes and the results are so good right now that Steve Kerr can't afford to experiment. And like, if Kuminga's not working, he can't afford to just kind of run him out there and give him a time trial, right? As much as Kuminga wants to be out there to contribute to a winning team, benevolently, I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt, but also to prove himself for a contract. I think it's pretty obvious. He said it. His agent has said it, that he's playing for whatever deal he'd be eligible for. That might not mesh with what is best for the Warriors in the next 1 month, 2 months, hopefully 3 months, right? Like, that might not be what is best. And I think that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for the Kuminga party. But there's also a way that he is able to salvage his own personal standing and how the league views him and how the Warriors front office views him and be a big part of this rotation. He doesn't need to be a 20-a-night guy. He needs to be Jonathan Kuminga. He needs to be athletic, a great rebounder, a force at the rim on offense and defense. But yeah, I'm not envious of Steve Kerr's position when it comes to Kuminga if things don't go too swimmingly in the coming days and weeks.
It's just so frustrating because you see, even as the first game back against the Knicks, he's electric. He's going inside. He's finishing with force. He's drawing free throws. He's playing great defense on opposing wings. And then you see kind of the flip side of it against the Nuggets, where it's just a lot of low IQ. I don't want to say he's not a low IQ basketball player, but a lot of low IQ plays where he kind of
making the wrong decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just like missing shots like inside where they're like, you have to finish that.
2-footers, 3-footers around the rim that someone with his size and force, like you said, just needs to make.
In the NBA, it's like we've been watching a lot of college basketball lately. You're gonna watch a lot of college basketball this weekend. It's like shots that you see college bigs like brick, where you're like, yeah, that's fair. They're just kids.
Right.
And it's like Jonathan Kuminga, year 4, first-round pick. I want you to finish inside the paint near the restricted area, way higher percentage than you are now.
We'll get into Giants in a sec. Do you have a sleeper for me to put in my bracket?
Ooh, I'm not a huge upset guy when it comes to the bracket. I know this is boring, but
You're a chalk guy?
I tend to like upsets are going to happen, and I don't like. What's the point of trying to chase them? Like, but I do like Colorado State as a 12.
As a favorited 12.
Are they favored?
They are. They're 3.5-point favorites.
I haven't even looked at the board yet. I've just looked at the brackets. I haven't looked at my gambling lines. They're 3.5-point favorite. Who are they playing? Who's the 5 again?
Memphis, which is
Memphis. That's right.
I know. Classic college basketball committee putting a 12 seed as a 3.5-point favorite over a 5 seed. And...
Well, that's where the committee in Vegas in years past, the committee would make their prediction, and sports betting would be so much less mainstream that everyone would be like, oh, yeah, I'll pick Colorado State. That's a huge upset. You're right, though. Dang. So my 12 seed is a 3-point favorite?
Yeah. So
I might have to bet on Memphis then. That's great value at like a plus 140 line for a 5 seed.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the number 5 right next to their name.
I think Lipscomb is live. Maybe if they shoot well. Iowa State's down a guy. Everyone's kind of low on Iowa State. So give me Lipscomb as a 14-3. And I'm not picking that. I'm not going to bet it. But if it happens, I'll clip this and post it everywhere.
Perfect. I got Yale as a 13, and I have VCU as an 11, which is a little bit of a cheap one. They're only 3-point dogs to BYU.
That's a decent one. Yeah. VCU, BYU is a stylistic clash. So, like, if BYU doesn't shoot like they shoot, then I would expect BYU to win that game. I'm a BYU guy. I loved watching them all year. I think I have them winning 2 games, so I hope they're able to win that battle.
No doubt. So the last little points I kind of want to make on the Warriors before transitioning to the Giants. Right now, Warriors and Wolves are both 8-1 in their last 9. In the last 2 weeks of the season, we're 3 back of the Lakers and Grizz, 4 back of the Rockets and Nuggets. It feels like with how hot all those teams are, we're kind of stuck in either that 6-7 seed. Do you see any way we're able to either get a home field spot or move to the 4-5?
They'd have to be as hot now for the next 3 weeks. And then I think that gets you the 5. But maybe the 4. I think that there's a lot less room between 5 and 4 than there is between 6 and 5. But isn't it crazy how everyone's just been playing their best ball after like 3 months of everyone being so mid?
Yeah.
It's like everyone kind of turned it on. I want to say Jimmy Butler and the Warriors like inspired the rest of the league, but the Wolves are red hot. Even the Suns, who have been an unmitigated disaster much of the year, have had a couple of nice wins in the last few days. So no one's safe. It's, I think, as good as the vibes are now, you're not that far off the ground being like the 9 seed. So one bad week away from being back in that little wrestling match. So stay sharp. But letting Steph and Jimmy and Dre rest for 5 days before playing was huge. It would be massive.
If you could pick their first round matchup, I want the Rockets personally. They're young, they're inexperienced, a lot of talent, but Şengün and Jalen Green matching up for Steph and Jimmy, I'd take that matchup any day.
Yeah. I honestly Rockets or Memphis would be awesome.
Absolutely.
And let the Lakers and Nuggets duke it out in the first round. I just tend to think if you haven't proved to me that you could beat the Warriors, then I don't think you can. That's kind of like I feel like that's an almost like Mahomesian state of mind that us Bay Area fans have, right? Like,
and very few have.
We're privileged, but I think it's a good way to live. Until you beat Steph, I don't think you can do it. Like, if we were to play the Celtics in the finals, I think the Celtics would be favored, but I'd be like, show me.
Why not us?
Why not us? So you're going to have to go through Denver, who you can't seem to beat, even though they're not as good as they were a couple years ago. The Lakers are terrifying, of course, and I can't stand LA. And like there was there was like a year and a half span where we got eliminated by the Dodgers. We lost to the Lakers in the playoffs like a year and a half after that, and we lost to the Rams in the NFC title game, where it was like, this is legitimately horrific. And then the Warriors did win the finals in between that, so that was cool. But like losing to the Dodgers, losing to the Rams, and then losing to the Lakers was like a special kind of Bay Area torture.
Beat LA. That's all I gotta say. Beat LA.
Put it on my tombstone.
I think the Lakers certainly are a better matchup for the Warriors than the Nuggets. That is the team in the first round I want to avoid by all means necessary. What would you prefer? The Warriors go and get the 6th seed, but they're either playing Denver or LA, or they end up the Wolves overpass them. They have to play in the play-in against, again, I think a bunch of teams that they would beat, but they have to play in the play-in, and then they can maybe see either the Grizz or the Rockets.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you get that 7 and you win one game and you're through to the 2, but if you lose, then you're playing for your season. I think I'd rather have them get the 6 and just go straight up for a series. And I think the rest factor is like the edge there. But that being said, if they were the 7 and they treated that 7-8 game like game 7, then you could go be like, look around like, well, we're not in a bad spot now. But then again, like you'd still get the winner of that 3-6 series in the second round if you were to beat the 2 seed. So it's kind of like how much do you value, if you think they're going to lose to the Nuggets or Lakers, how much do you value the winning one series for when this team writes its story?
Great point. I think I tend to agree with you. I want to avoid the play-in by all means necessary. We've seen how that's gone the last couple of years, and this is a better team, and we would likely all but likely have home field advantage in either of those play-in matches.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was great, Jack.
Dude.
This is a good time to call it. Really appreciate you coming all the way from the KNBR studios. We have to do this again.
Dude, for sure. I had fun.
Awesome, man. Well, let's talk come Warrior playoffs, and maybe We'll do a little Giants update as well.
Hell yeah, man. Go Dubs and go Giants here in a couple weeks, and we can maybe talk about the Niners if they ever add a player to their roster. We can talk about them.
I love it. Hey, I don't know if you heard, Kyle Juszczyk's back for more guaranteed money. So
I heard. I love Juice, but I was ready for the Juice era to be over. But no Kyle Juszczyk slander on my watch.
Fair enough. I love Juice. It's just Juice and a lot of special teamers. But
yeah,
brighter days are ahead. You don't win games in March.
True. So, let's focus on hoops and baseball right now.
Right on. Talk soon, Jack. Take care, man.
Awesome. See ya.
Now, if you made it to the end of the episode, I want to say thank you. If you don't mind subscribing and maybe even dropping a like, you'll become my new best friend. I produce these Bay Area sports podcasts twice a week, and I'm looking to grow my audience as much as I can. You can find the audio version of the podcast on Spotify or Apple Pods at the Bay Area Beat. and on YouTube at Bay Area Beat. You can also find short clips on all socials under the same name. Thanks again for listening. Catch you all next week.